the ball just doesn't go your way. I mean, there's times that he's part of progression, and maybe they did a nice job of taking away some easy throws to him, and the ball goes other places. I think we had some good opportunities. We had a couple opportunities to him that we were close on, didn't quite get, and some other guys too. But it wasn't a game plan, and that's what we're trying to get to, where the ball kind of gets spread out, and it's not just determined of, hey, we're feeding these specific players.
And I want to ask you, I don't want to ask you anything specific about things that are going on right now involving the organization, but you've been around this sport your whole life, basically, and have seen a lot of things. Do you think on some level being around as much as you have maybe helped prepare you just to, as you have to do your own job, to deal with all these things are happening perhaps ways that other guys maybe not?
I don't know, maybe. I mean, I just try to keep the attitude of, focus on what my job is, and that's just to get the offense ready to go play. And, and I just block everything else out and just keep my head down and grind through that, and then try to do the best job of channeling all of our other coaches and players in that direction. So I try just not even to give it thought. So, but maybe, I don't know.
Some problems finishing drives in the red zone. Is it as simple as missing someone like Logan Thomas, or is there more of a common theme that you notice?
No, I don't think. I mean, we always miss a player like Logan when he's not available. But to me, I always just look at what the individual plays are. Our red zone for the first 4 weeks of the season, we were in the top 10. I'm not sure exactly, but we were somewhere up there of finishing and scoring. And that's why we were, we're able to be, higher in scoring or whatever we are right now. But and then last week, we just had some, some deals where we didn't score, and even like the one drive where we kicked the field from like the 30. I mean, that's basically in the red zone, so that's a sixth one. And that's really what the game came down to. I mean, we turned the ball over. One of those happened to be in the red zone, so it's like a double whammy. You don't even get the field goal out of that. But I felt like we moved the ball pretty well over the course of the day. They're a good defense, and we had opportunities to score points, and we ended up getting 3 or none instead of 7, and that, especially early when the field position was in our favor, their punter had a great day, and that really came in the second half for the most part. But when it's early and you have those opportunities, you got to take advantage of them. And whether it was, I didn't get the correct call, or we didn't execute exactly what we were trying to get executed, or maybe missed a throw here or there. And to me, like, that was the difference for us offensively in not going and winning that football game, which I feel like we could have done.
And sticking with tight end, just what did you think of Ricky Seals-Jones's job filling in for Logan?
I think Ricky did a nice job. He had some, a couple plays that he'd like to do better. 82 plays, and 3 of them didn't count because of penalties or whatever, which is a lot. That's more than we normally get on offense. And he was pretty wiped out afterwards. I know he gave it his all, and I was happy with the way that he performed.
What do you thought about the play of your offensive line? And obviously now you guys have a couple of players who were injured. What do you thought about the way that West responded in this game against the Saints? And then obviously, what do you think of Cornelius Lucas as a backup?
To talk about both those guys were starters for us last year and did a nice job. And so, when they go in and play, the comfort level with them is great. I feel really good about them. So I thought they stepped in and we didn't necessarily miss a beat. I think we gave up, 2 sacks, and we had to hold the ball on really both of them, one of them for sure. And I think that's kind of what had happened there. But for the most part, I felt good about those guys coming in and filling in for our starters.
Two-parter for you. Have you ever been as backed up as many times as you were on Sunday? And then also, how do you balance like being aggressive but also staying safe in those scenarios?
I think a lot of it depends on like what point of the game you're in. What point of the game, what the score, those types of things. But I think you always got to be, for the most part, a little aggressive. You got to try to get the first down, because when you give them the ball back, they're basically almost in field goal range. So you got to get the ball out of there. We turned the ball over down there once. We were able to get 1 first down, and then got to the opportunity to maybe get a second. We didn't the other time. So we got to be better. We got to overcome those situations. I don't know if I think we were down in there 3 times. I don't think I've ever been in a game where the ball was like inside the 3 different times, but maybe. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Is that a situation where you think like, okay, like I got to be in my zone as a play caller, or is it like everything else?
It's a situation we prepare for every week. You know what I mean? You don't think it's going to come up that often, but it's something that we look at, and, it doesn't happen quite a bit, so you got to go back a few years. But it's always something we prepare for. You try to get tendencies on what the other team likes to do, and you just trust your preparation and let it rip.
When Taylor came to you after the XFL ended and was looking for a coaching job of all things, what do you remember about that conversation? And he said that you told him to finish your degree, but also just what do you remember about that time?
Yeah, so, it was in the summer, and it was all the COVID stuff was happening, and I don't even think we'd started back up yet. But he just said that, he wanted to get into coaching, and what I said was, this isn't really the time for the hiring cycle. It's more, after the season in January. I was like, and you're finishing your degree right now too, right? And he was like, yeah. So then I said, well, you're there. Why don't you see if you can help out there while you're finishing your degree? And I go, but stay ready, because with all this stuff going on with COVID, we might need a guy, or other teams in the league might need a guy. And then, and he said, okay. And I guess he stayed ready, and we ended up needing him. So that's how kind of that whole thing worked out.
I mean, if it was a different time, do you think he would have been hired? What do you think?
Well, I don't know about like with us, and he wasn't necessarily asking me for a job. It was more so just, is there anyone I could reach out to? I think he was trying to get into maybe like a GA or like some sort of deal, and that's why I told him, if you still feel the same way you did in January, then come see me again, and I'll reach out to people I know that are maybe starting new staffs or places I know and see if I can help you. And then he ended up playing against Tampa Bay in January, so it switched up.
Nick, they're going to retire Sean Taylor's jersey on Sunday. Do you have any memories of Sean at all?
Yeah, so I was never here, with him. I just remember watching him. The play that comes to mind, obviously, is the play in the Pro Bowl where he hit the punter. Obviously, a tragedy. I remember what happened, when everything happened, and it's such a shame that he was, his life was cut short in such a terrible way. And it's a good thing. I think it's cool that they're retiring his number.
I know you don't want to talk about this. I know you briefly said that you're trying to block everything else out, all the outside stuff, but you guys take the field, you're out there with the players. Obviously, they're seeing on social media, they're hearing things that it's a dark cloud over this team, essentially, everything that's going on. I guess, how do you keep them away from being distracted? How do you keep yourself focused on football, and is it difficult at a time like this?
I don't know if difficult is. Like, obviously, you see the headlines, you see what's coming up, and you're saying, and a lot of it, your first reaction, everyone's kind of curious, like, what is going on? What's happening? But then, we got a good group of guys, and they're very driven, and guys are very just self-starter, goal-oriented type people, and they want to make sure that when they go out on the field, they present themselves in the best way they possibly can, because it means a lot to them, and it means a lot to them, obviously, to represent our team the way they're in our offense, the way that we want to be represented. So you switch over, and there's so much work to do. That's honestly one of the best things about this job. It's a good and bad. There is so much work to do between when one game ends and another game starts, that once you get in the grind of it, you kind of don't think about that stuff. And then there's moments throughout the day or whatever when you're like, man, that's wild. I can't believe this is happening. But I think our guys have done a really nice job of just keeping focused on the task at hand. And we have a lot of, boxes that we got to check off over the course of a week before we get ready to play somebody. And we just try to keep checking off those boxes and get ready to go and kind of let everybody else handle the distractions.